Imagine the following scene. A family fight for money reaches its limit when a woman discovers that her bonus, the result of a lot of sweat, has mysteriously disappeared from the bag. In confronting the situation, the husband explodes in fury, shouting that taking money from his mother is the end of the bite and goes over his wife with violence. No one there could predict that a simple financial disagreement would become a true battlefield. Good night, dear listeners. I am Andre Branco, and it is with great satisfaction that I receive them here on the Blood Ties to share a story that will mess with their emotions. Prepare for an account that shows how money can misrepresent even the most sacred ties. Elizabeth was a dedicated professional 3 years ago as an administrator in a large retail network. His salary was not the worst, about 4,000 Rs fixed, plus bonuses for beaten goals. That month, however, the performance was exceptional. A bonus of 2,500 Rs in kind, kept carefully in the bag to buy a new coat for you and toys for Max and her 2-year-old son. She shared a 2-bedroom apartment with her husband, Igor, and her mother-in-law, Tamara, a firm woman who purely believed that every penny of the house should pass her hands. It is for the good of the family, he justified, as if his control was synonymous with responsibility. Igor, at the age of 35, was still shaking before his mother, unable to question his decisions. That night Elizabeth came home exhausted, but with a light heart for the conquest. He left his bag at the entrance, distracted after feeding his son, and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Half an hour later, when she returned to get her cell phone, she noticed something strange. The bag was in a different position. When opening, the blood froze. The 2,500 Rs had disappeared, replaced by exchanges that barely gave 300 Rs. There was no doubt about who could have moved there, besides her. Only Igor, Tamara, and little Max, in the latter, clearly, was not the suspect. With a trembling but firm voice, Elizabeth entered the room, where her mother-in-law watched the TV and her husband flipped her cell phone. Tamara, didn't you see the money in my bag? He asked, trying to keep calm. The answer was a sharp disdain. What money? I don't know anything. It was my bonus, 2,500 Rs I just received, he insisted. Tamara turned into offended holiness. Elizabeth, are you accusing me of stealing? I have lived in this house for years. Igor, always the cowardly mediator, tried to calm the waters. Love, are you sure you brought the money? Maybe you forgot to work. Elizabeth's patience was on the thread. She remembered vividly to tell each note on the bus. Igor, I know the money was here, and now it's no longer. Tamara got up imposing. How dare you disrespect me? Your allowance doesn't interest me. I have my retirement. His retirement is 1,000 Rs, and my bonus was 2,500 and was in my bag. Elizabeth countered, without retreating. The mother-in-law fought. Igor, do you hear that? Your wife treats me like a thief. The husband, as always, took part, apologized to Mom. She didn't get anything. I won't apologize for looking for what is mine, Elizabeth said, now without filters. Tamara, return my bonus. I won her with my work. I didn't get anything, the mother-in-law shouted. In a decent family, the money is everyone. Don't hide on the back. It's my resources, and I decide how to spend them, said Elizabeth, firmly. Igor, with his eyes injected with anger, approached. Enough, Elizabeth. Mom said she didn't catch it, so she didn't catch it. Stop screaming like crazy. Crazy? Someone stole 2,500 Rs of me, and you defend your mother. Elizabeth turned her back, trying to calm down her room. But curiosity said louder. He returned in silence and heard his mother-in-law whisper to his son, Igor Zeno, I took this money to the home budget. Understand, she would spend on nonsense. So we bought winter clothes for Maxim and food for the month. But you could have warned her, Mom. For what? She learns her place. This is family, not hotel. All money must be shared. That was the drop of water. Elizabeth broke out in the room, the face in flames. So you got it. Tamara, return me now. The mother-in-law didn't even blink. I don't return anything. This money is for the family. For your son, by the way. My son is my responsibility, and my money too. Return now. Elizabeth advanced, but Igor blocked his way. It's over. Elizabeth. Mom is right. Money is for the family, not for her whims. Capricious. This is my sweat, he shouted, pushing him. The search started. Elizabeth went straight to the dresser where Tamara kept documents and money. Don't dare to mess with my things. You shouldn't have moved my bag, Elizabeth said, opening the drawer. There were the papers, old photos, and a small box. As he opened it immediately, his notes, new and sequential, over his mother-in-law's retirement. Here they are. My bonus, he said, holding them hard. Tamara tried to tear them out. Return. This is family money. This is theft, shouted Elizabeth. squeezing the notes against her chest. Igor lost control. The mother cried. The wife accused him and her fragile stability. Taking money out of my mother is the last thing you do, he wore, leaving Elizabeth with his fists clenched. The first punch hit his shoulder, unbalanced it. She dodged the second blow, but something inside her snapped. Years of humiliation, the constant interference of the mother-in-law, and now that disrespect. Elizabeth was not fragile. As a teenager, he had trained boxing, then 2 years of self-defense. The reflexes came back when Igor tried to grab her. She turned precisely and hit her elbow on her husband's solar plexus. He folded, panting. Igor, shouted Tamara, running to her son. But Elizabeth still boiled. As he bent over her husband, the mother-in-law took a push on the back that threw her to the floor. In seconds, mother and son were stretched, while Elizabeth, breathing heavily, holding her money and a certainty that war had only started, died at the entrance of the apartment. The wide eyes of Igor and Tamara fixed Elizabeth, still panting, with the notes tied in her hand. The blood throbbed in his ears, his fingers trembled, but a strange lightness flooded his chest. My money stays with me, she said, low, but with a firmness that left no replicas. And if someone dared to touch him again without permission, the consequences would be even harder. Igor lifted with effort, massaging the abdomen where the blow had hit. His face was a mask of unbelief. Lisa, you go crazy? You hit me. The voice shaved between physical pain and offense. I defended my money from thieves, said Elizabeth without blinking, and I defended myself from a husband who raises his hand against me. Each word came out like a precise blow, cutting the air between them. Tamara, still on the floor, dragged himself to sit with difficulty, his chest panting. I didn't want to steal, Lizachka. I just wanted to help the family. The tears ran down a face that, for the first time, showed no authority but panic. It is helped with what is yours, not with what is from others. Elizabeth did not wait for answers. He entered the room, took Maxim, who had slept throughout the scene, and began to gather his things in a purse with quick, almost mechanical movements. Lisa, where are you going? Igor tried to hold his arm, but she dodged herself as if her touch burned. For my mother's house. I need to think if I still want a family where they steal and hit me. By top from the closet hit hard when closed. It's late, Igor. You chose your mother, not your wife. Stay with her. And left. That night, sitting at her mother's kitchen table, Elizabeth told everything between sobs and nervous laughs. The old lady heard in silence, the nodes of the white fingers of so tight. It did well, daughter, he said finally, with a voice that left no room for doubt. No one has the right to humiliate you. This Igor, a mom boy, not a man. In the following days, Igor's calls multiplied 10, 15 times. Come home, let's talk. My mother returns the money, but Elizabeth no longer believed in promises. Years in the end had expected him to grow, to protect her from Tamara's tyranny instead of bending her. A week later, he signed the divorce papers. Igor barely resisted. Even Tamara appeared, dragging her feet, with a remedied speech. I just wanted the best for the family, but it was late. Unit is built with respect, not theft, said Elizabeth. The judge was fast. Igor did not even contest the terms, not even the food. Perhaps, deep down, he knew he had no right to anything, neither to her, nor to the son, nor the illusion that he was still a free man. With a suitcase and a rental contract for a one-room apartment, Elizabeth started from scratch. It was hard. A small child, exhausting shifts, accounts they didn't expect, but for the first time in years, no one moved in his wallet. No one told him how to spend the sweat of his work. And that, alone, was already worth every night. A year later, he met Andrei, purchasing manager at the same store chain. He was the opposite of Igor, independent, owners of his own choices, cooked, cleaned, cared for himself. When he first saw Maxim, he knelt to stay at the boy's eyes level. And his father? He asked, as if he already knew the answer. It has never grown, said Elizabeth dryly. It was little to the mommy's apron. Andrei nodded, as if that were the most obvious thing in the world. There are so many, men on paper, children in practice. And then, without further ado, he reached for Maxim. Come on, championship. How about I teach you how to ride a bicycle? With Andrei, everything was easy. He never reviewed his bills, never questioned his spending, but he was always there, helping with his homework, fixing the tap that dripped, bringing coffee and bed on Sundays. When they got married a year and a half later, Elizabeth smiled as she signed the papers, knowing that this time it was not a transaction, but a partnership. Igor still appeared sporadically to see Maxim. Skinny, with deep dark circles, he looked like a ghost of the man who had once been. Tamara, now her only company, had become an even more oppressive shadow. She called his work, checked every expense, treated him as an irresponsible teenager. "How are things going?" asked Elizabeth once out of pure curiosity. "More or less," he murmured, avoiding his eyes. "Mom is active. Take care of everything." The irony was so thick that it could almost be cut. "You're 40, Igor. When will you live your life?" He didn't answer. He took the son by the hand and left, as always, silent, defeated. Tamar survived the first heart attack, but not the second. When he died 5 years after the divorce, Igor called Elizabeth crying, lost. "I don't know what to do, Lisa. For the first time in my life, I'm alone." His voice was that of a scared boy. "Everyone learns, Igor. It's never too late to become an adult." If he learned, she never knew. After the funeral, it disappeared. Maxim, then 8, barely asked for him. Andrei was already a father in every way that mattered. Sometimes Elizabeth thought of those 25,000 rubles not for value, but for what they represented. If he had silent that night, if he had swallowed pride and anger, still he was stuck in those cycles of humiliation, delivering every penny gained to be managed by Tamara. But that blow to the solar plexus of Igor, metaphor and reality, had been the first step to a life that was finally yours. 7 years later, she ran a chain of stores, earned more than 100,000 a month, and should not satisfy anyone. Andrei, his true partner, earned well, but never required access to his finances. "You know," he told him one night as they had wine on the porch, "if you hadn't defended that money, it would still be under their boot, and I would never have known you." Poetic? No? She laughed. "Your former maid tried to destroy my life and ended up giving me a much better." The phone rang. It was Maxim's school. His English presentation was amazing. "Mrs. Elizabeth." He has a way for languages. In the background, the laugh of his little daughter, which Andrei shook in his arms as if it were the most precious thing in the world. Elizabeth smiled. Life, after all, had a strange way of rewarding who dared to fight for it. The financial success they built together was not just comfort, it was living proof that dignity compensates. The children did not know deprivation, annual travel to the sea, music classes, the luxury of choosing without measuring efforts. All this was born of the stolen awards and the courage not to bend. Those months of battle taught you a lesson that no self-help book could convey. Never allow them to humiliate you, not even in the name of blood. Family is no excuse to accept disrespect. True love is measured by the way we look into each other's eyes equally, not with submission. Money doesn't buy happiness, of course, but the right to decide on the sweat of their own work. This is the essence of freedom, and for this freedom, it is worth facing the whole world if necessary. Andrei closed the newspaper and looked at her over the cup of coffee. "Do you know what is more ironic?" he murmured, with that smile that still made her forget the air in her lungs. "If your former maid had not tried to destroy us, we might never have discovered what we were capable." Elizabeth took a sip, savoring the bitter coffee and the sweetness of it all. Life does not reward passives, rewards those who dare say enough, who transforms injustice into a trampoline. And at that moment, between children's laughs and the smell of fresh bread, she knew the best revenge is not hatred, but a full table, a united family, and the certainty that, in the end, justice has a taste of victory.